Welcome back to Studio from Fast on Willy B. We'll be reviewing Deep Blue Sea for its 25th anniversary. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russell!
Welcome back to Fast on Willy B. I'm Willy B. I got Rosie back for another 25th anniversary Wednesday. Rosie, how we doing?
Pretty good. I've been enjoying this series. Lots of new movies for me.
Yeah.
So
today we'll be reviewing one of my childhood favorites, Deep Blue Sea, released on July 28th, 1999. This was a movie that I watched a lot growing up.
Yeah.
I was notorious for drawing pictures of some of the shark
the
attacks,
kills.
some of the shark attack scenes. My grandmother would say, "Oh, that's a nice drawing."
Oh, you're crazy.
Gammy always supporting me, even when I had psychopathic tendencies. But this one directed by Rennie Harlan. We've done a Rennie Harlan movie this year.
Yes.
In Strangers Chapter 1. He also did Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and Die Hard 2. So notorious for doing sequels.
Right.
But this one, we got an original story from him, and one that I tend to enjoy. Cast, we got Thomas Jane playing Blake, kind of our main, good guy character. We got Suffren Burrows. She's playing almost this robotic scientist that is trying to find the cure to Alzheimer's. We got Samuel L. Jackson. We got Michael Rappaport. We got LL Cool J. We got Stellan Skarsgård. Loaded cast.
Wait.
We'll start with the good. And honestly, given the type of movie it is, the acting is pretty good.
Yeah, I wasn't mad at the acting at all. I was very impressed.
Yeah. You were going to get from Samuel L. Jackson.
Exactly. Yes.
He's obviously the biggest name on this cast list. Michael Rappaport was awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's one of my favorite performances of this movie. He's that nerdy Caltech. He knows all the ins and outs of Aquatica, the building that they're, doing their research and living out of. And as, shit hits the fan, he's scared shitless.
Yeah.
But he plays it so well. Unfortunately, doesn't go to plan for him. But I absolutely love his character. I love what he did with this. He's probably my standout in this movie, despite being, a supporting character.
Right.
Stellan Skarsgård, limited time, great. Suffren Burrows, I didn't love her, but the third act, I thought she really put it all together.
Yeah.
And then Thomas Jane, I thought was great as well. Again, playing Blake, he's the shark wrangler, which is funny.
That would be one of my favorite lines in the movie.
Yeah.
He was like, I think it was
Samuel L. Jackson.
He was like, so what does a shark wrangler do? He's like, pretty much in the name.
Yeah. Wrangle the sharks. But he was great as well. All around, for, not Oscar-worthy performances by any mean, but given, the stature of this movie and where it stands in, cinematic history, pretty good performances across the board.
I was quite pleased. I was, first time seeing this one, so it was nice to see, 3 familiar faces.
Yeah.
For me, so.
Yeah,
I enjoy
for sure. I think this movie, obviously, it's no Jaws. Jaws is the epitome of shark movies. There hasn't been a shark movie, not even a Jaws sequel, that has come close to this. I would say Deep Blue Sea is the second best shark movie we've ever gotten, and there's still a big gap, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But, when you're really thinking about it, and if you watch this movie and give it a chance, it's a solid movie. It's a cool concept.
Yeah.
It's, we're doing research on sharks because we could end this disease, but in order to do that research, we have to kind of enhance their brains a little bit, and that
Makes
leads
them
to
smart.
you got nature's oldest predator plus more brain power, and you've got yourself quite the battle. I think it's a cool concept. Obviously a little cheesy, but I think it's done very well.
I really enjoyed the concept. We can get in more in depth later once we go down the list. But I wish we would have got a little bit more backstory.
Yeah.
On the concept. And
so you mean like
the goal,
what the research was for?
Yes, which we know what it was for, and I know it probably could have killed the pacing and all that jazz, but it kind of really just went right into it. So maybe a little bit more background, but it really didn't hinder the movie at all.
Yeah,
so.
I personally like the way it was told just because they give you the background that they're working for Alzheimer's and, you see the charts. You don't know exactly what they're pulling out of the shark's brain.
Yeah.
But you don't find out that they enhance the brains until, shit has already hit the fan. And that's when everybody's like, all right, you're an ass for not telling us that's what we're doing. Because somebody had already died. And so I kind of like it because it created more tension within the group. And then
that's true, I suppose.
It leads to an iconic scene where their tension's at its highest, where Samuel L. Jackson comes and he starts talking about the avalanche he was just in, and he goes on his speech, and this is probably the most iconic scene in the movie. Yeah. If you've seen Deep Blue Sea, you talk about Samuel L. Jackson's speech, which leads to one of the worst CGI shark scenes ever. But
we'll talk about the CGI later.
Yeah, but it catches you off guard.
Definitely. I think it caught everybody off guard.
We're going to pull together and we're going to find a way to get out of here. First, we're going to seal off this
I was glad you weren't spoiled on this. This is one where a lot of people go into this movie because they know about that scene. I saw it as a kid, and I remember as a kid I was like, damn. Not really, but I was like, dang.
Yeah.
But, so when I remember, I was like, that scene's coming up, and you're like, huh? And then that happened, you're like, I did not expect that.
No, not at all.
Honestly,
I didn't expect a lot of it.
Yeah. a lot of the kills, scare factor, and gore was pretty good. I thought the blood looked good, especially in water. A lot of the kills were pretty creative, and some of them, how you would expect a shark kill.
Yeah.
And honestly, the scare factor was there too. A lot of the sharks were jump scare kills, which you wouldn't expect in a shark movie, but
definitely not.
I thought they did a good job with all of that.
Sure.
A lot of it's in the camera work too. I love the set design we get. I love Aquatica. I think it's cool building it.
Yeah.
It's almost a bottle movie because you're trapped inside of this underwater lab.
Yeah.
And every room you go into, water's filling in, and sharks are in the water, and you've got to figure out a way out. And
it's like Titanic and Jaws had a baby.
Honestly.
And made this movie.
Yeah. And it's, obviously not to the level of either of those movies as far as, objectively speaking goes. But it's a cool set. It's a cool setting, and I think it's very well done. I think the camera work helps a lot. I think Rennie Harlan had a great eye in this movie as far as directing goes as well. I would say, out of the movies we named, this is probably the one I enjoy the most.
Yeah, I definitely, watching the trailer, because I had never seen the movie before, so I watched the trailer. The trailer didn't give, anything away.
Yeah.
Which I like, because sometimes trailers give a little too much.
Yeah.
I had no idea about Aquatica in the trailer.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell that they're in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
And they have all this going on in the trailer. So I like that. It was a little bit of you kind of knew what was going to go on, but you didn't know how it was going to go on.
For sure. Obviously, this movie hits a little harder for me just because of the nostalgia with it, too.
Yeah.
So, my score might show a little bias in it, but it is a movie that I watched a lot growing up. Jaws and Jurassic Park, I've said before on this channel, are the two movies that really got me started in movies. Deep Blue Sea wasn't too far behind.
Yeah.
This was a movie that Papa and Gammy had on DVD. When we moved out of there, they let me and Maddie take it home with us, and it just was one that my sister and I watched a lot when we were coloring at the table or usually coloring the shark attacks.
Yeah. It's a very strange background movie.
Yeah, it really is. It's a deep cut. Deep Blue Sea.
Definitely a deep cut.
But that nostalgia hits hard every time I watch it. It's fun. It's fun. It knows what it is. It doesn't take itself too serious. But in the serious moments, there is tension. There is scare factor. And I think for what is considered a B movie,
it wasn't as cheesy as most B movies. Yeah,
I think it. I think
just because the acting was so good.
I think it does really well.
Yeah.
In the world of B movies, I guess.
For sure.
It's hard for me to even consider this a B movie because of how much I actually enjoy it. But a lot of people consider it, and I get it.
Yeah.
The shoddy CGI is probably the biggest thing again, which we'll get into later. But
yes.
You've got some stars in this movie. You've got some names that are recognizable still today.
Definitely.
And you've got a cool concept. unique kills and gore, and just in a world with a lack of good shark movies, this one's up there.
Yeah, I would agree.
Is there anything else that really stuck out to you in the good?
I was quite surprised. Now, let's preface by saying, I don't think I have seen any of the Jaws movies all the way through.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah. So, I've seen bits and pieces of all of them. I'm almost positive.
Just watch the first one. We'll do that. We'll have to do that now.
So, but by saying that, I was quite surprised, given the CGI in the beginning. I was very surprised and pleased with some of the kills.
Yeah. They didn't let the small budget take over the entire movie.
No, I don't think so either.
Because there is a lot of CGI, but there's also a lot of good camera work that allows the sharks to stand out.
When they got to Aquatica and they were lifting the shark down into the tank, it looked real.
Yeah.
I wasn't mad at it. I was quite impressed. I thought, however they did that, special effects, CGI, whatever they did with that, I think it looked great. Some of the kills I thought were great.
Yeah, a lot of the close-up shots were good. It's when you start panning out and getting the full shark into the shot. Like it jumping out of the water at Samuel L. Jackson, or it, some of the pan-outs when they attack the tiger shark, when they feed the tiger shark to the two big sharks.
Yes.
Some of that stuff. But the close-up shots, the sharks look good.
The one where he rips the doctor...
Stellan Skarsgård?
Yeah, his arm off. I looked at you and I was like, that wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
I was quite impressed with a lot of the kills, so I'm definitely going to put most of the kills in the good. Not all of them.
So, see, it's funny you mentioned the arm, because that was the scene that always stuck out to me as a kid. Where
I think it was just done.
Where it all starts, honestly.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson's...
He's the first one.
Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson's speech, Turn into Kill, is iconic for sure, but growing up... Stellan Skarsgård was the picture I drew the most.
Yeah, I think it was
the arm and the shirt. It was just...
It was the first one.
I thought it always was like, wow, that looked real. That looked scary.
It looked pretty good. It was the first kill. It was right as we come into this big advancement. And then that's when it all starts going...
downhill.
Bananas.
Yep.
For sure. So that was probably one of my favorite scenes there. So
we'll hop into the man. I'd probably put Saffron Burrows' first two acts here. I think she did a good job as being that like non-charismatic doctor, but it was almost robotic at times.
Yeah.
So I was like, there were moments where I'm like, okay. But it makes you love the other characters even more. It makes you root for Blake. It makes you root for Michael Rappaport's character. It makes you root for Samuel L. Jackson, for Stellan Skarsgård, his girlfriend. Like, it makes them all more likable when you have this robotic doctor who didn't tell you what's going on, but it's getting everybody picked off one by one. But at times I'm like, okay, that's a little robotic. It's the same, knock I give to Halloween 2. I think Halloween 2 is a great Halloween movie, but Michael Myers at the time is very robotic, and it's just like... So it takes a hit for me there.
Yeah. I think she was just trying to be too professional.
Yeah.
And I think everyone was kind of making maybe what she was doing a joke, and...
Yeah.
But I think she was just very bleh.
Yeah. My other meh is... Would the glass break that easily? With Stellan Skarsgård gets launched at him and the gurney and hits the glass, it kind of shatters pretty easily. I feel like you'd have some super thick glass.
And it does look thick when it falls on the floor.
Yeah.
When it starts crumbling, I guess if
hit right, maybe. I mean, those sharks do have the big brain. They also are putting a lot of tons of weight behind it, but like...
You're also underwater, so that has some...
Yeah.
Some resilience as well. So.
That was just always a scene that I was like,
maybe.
Might be a stretch.
Yeah.
I guess.
Because you would think the glass would have to be pretty thick.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if it was made during, the World Wars or whatever they were talking about, maybe it wasn't as thick as it needed to be, but that was a scene that always stuck with me like, I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
That's really it in a meh for me.
I would put the rest of the kills in the meh.
Okay. So you don't have any bad kills. Because even the kills that have bad CGI are, like, unique kills.
Exactly,
like,
yeah. So, like, I would say, like, half in the good because they look good and look real, and then half in the meh because the CGI might be a little shoddy, but, like, it's a cool and unique kill that you don't see all the time.
Yeah.
For sure.
So then we'll hop to the bad, and the only bad I have is the CGI.
Yeah.
1999 film, so it's hard to really knock it,
yeah.
but it is bad at times. And it's tough. Like, obviously, you look at Jaws, which was, like, you know, there was a reason they only showed the shark for, like, 6 total minutes in that movie, because they were having trouble with the animatronics. They didn't want to use CGI. There's a reason they didn't want to use CGI. Well, I mean, back in the 70s, that wasn't even really a thing, honestly.
Right.
Not everybody could be Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And it showed. I
think it was just the time.
And again, it's when you get the full pan out of the sharks, and they're almost moving quickly. You're like, ugh. Like, when you get close-ups and some of the shots where it's just the fin sticking out of the water, you get some good shots. But that's where the camera work comes into play. Some of the camera work really helped this movie out.
I also, I like, you mentioned the camera work.
Did you like the POV shark?
I was just about to say that. I did.
Okay.
Especially when he was trying to get into the stove.
Yeah.
And get, LL Cool J.
That's what you could probably throw in the bed, too. Not because I didn't like, you know, his quick thinking to get in the stove and to climb out, but he throws that flame through the air. 1, the wind doesn't blow it out. 2, it doesn't hit the water before it a lot had to go right for that scene to work out, and it's crazy. I mean, I guess the perfect shot, but sometimes I'm like, that's another one I'm like, okay. But at the same time, LL Cool J is the man in this movie, so
for sure.
I want him to
I
make
definitely, I did like the POV shots.
Yeah. That's really all I have in the bad. The CGI can be really bad at times. But,
yeah,
you know, for what is considered a B movie, I don't think there's a lot wrong with this film.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So we can hop over to our final thoughts and ratings. What do you want to leave off with your first watch of Deep Blue Sea? And what do you give it out of 10?
Well, my first watch, I enjoyed it. Not sure it would be something I would choose to watch any given day.
For sure.
But I wouldn't be mad if it was chosen by somebody I love to watch movies with. And maybe I would like to see it again to know, get a little bit more in depth. But we're gonna, I don't even know, because it was good, like mostly good, but just some of those CGI moments and stuff kind of kill the score. But I am gonna rate it pretty high, because most of the stuff we said was in the good. So I'm gonna leave it at a 7.
Okay.
I think that's a fair.
This is a movie that people give it a 2 out of 10, and people give it a 9 out of 10. It's very divisive, and I'm gonna go 7.5.
Okay.
Obviously, nostalgia plays a little bit into that. There are obviously flaws. It is cheesy at times. There are questionable scenes as far as physics go, and the CGI can be pretty bad, but the concept, the nostalgia, the acting, the cast, the bottle setting we're in, all of that adds up to, this is, every time I watch it, a good hour and 45 minutes.
Right.
I always have a good time watching it. I still watch to this day, and it doesn't get old. Mm-hmm. But it's a 7.5 out of 10. It's just a solid flick.
Yeah.
There's not much more to it.
That's true.
One of the best shark movies ever made. At 7.5 out of 10.
Hey, there isn't many.
Spielberg was able to do his thing in 1975, and nobody has been able to come close to repeating it.
I just think it's a tough scene to recreate.
Yeah, because Spielberg did it in the sense that, like, before Spielberg, people weren't scared of sharks. I mean, like, there was a fear, but, like, that made people scared to swim.
Definitely.
And now it's like, you can't really reinvent what he did, so you have to come up with an idea to make a shark movie unique, and it's usually like, oh, put him in a tornado, or you know,
that's awful.
Give it telepathic connection to the Brody family in Jaws 4. Like, it's just hard to, like, make a shark movie. And there have been that have been good. I mean, The Shallows is a good one. This one, that might be it. Jaws 2's not horrible.
Yeah.
I don't like the 47 Meters Down movies personally.
What about Meg? How do you feel about Meg?
The first Meg is decent.
Okay.
The second Meg is a shit show.
Okay. Yeah, they all can't be good.
No.
Usually seems...
The newest one on Netflix, Under Paris, was a solid, probably like 6.
All right.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's exceptions
There's
to it, but
other shark movies
there's a
out there.
lot of bad shark movies, though. I mean,
Definitely.
like Three-Headed Shark Attack, and just people coming up with outlandish. Sharknado opened the door to a lot of B shark movies.
Yeah, for sure.
That'll do it for Deep Blue Sea. Rosie, thank you for coming on another Wednesday. Thank you all for watching. If you haven't seen Deep Blue Sea, please go check it out. It's one of my favorites from '99. If you like what you're watching, please check out some of these other videos. Hit the subscribe button or follow the social links down below. We appreciate anything you do, and we will talk to you all soon. Peace.
Peace and love.